Hey guys, Raquel Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Cool, mate. Welcome, everybody, to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and this is our Money in the Bank review show. As you can see, joining me are two of my illustrious co-hosts today, a fellow Money in the Bank attendee, Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, nice to see you again, sir. It's been at least 24 hours since I've actually spent some time with you. And joining us all the way from the good old US of A is the American branch of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, Mr. Parker Hamlet. Parker, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening to you guys. I mean, we kind of chopped it up a little bit beforehand. What an event. What a time you guys look like you had in the UK last night. It was awesome to watch. It was awesome to know you guys were in the crowd just absolutely eating it up. I mean, you guys really brought the energy. Like, I thought Cardiff was crazy, and honestly, like this just kind of ramped it up to a new level. So honestly, I hate to take this away from you here, but tell us about y'all's experiences, because I can tell you, like, from, you know, people who watch it stateside, we just kind of want to know, like, how that was live.
This is where I think it's good that we've got Parker on, especially on this episode, because we get both perspectives. We get me and Adam in the arena, and we get Parker sitting at home, like what we usually do. When I've seen Parker at AEW, I've seen friends go to WWE events. I've seen the NFL is the biggest example. I watch that every week, and I get to, you know, I get the experience on TV. So the show itself, it was a long day. Don't get me wrong. It was a really, really long day. But we know what we're getting with the English crowd. I mean, I've attended countless wrestling events since 1987, 88. I think I went to my first one. But we knew what we were getting with this English crowd. My God, we bought it. There were lulls a little bit in the show at some points. But for me, England are known for our crowds. I mean, I don't know what you made of it, Adam. I knew what to expect from us, man. I'd say us and Canada have got to be some of the largest wrestling crowds I've ever experienced.
Yeah, I think this one's probably the loudest British event I've been to. Obviously, Junior Buck will come along for the ride as well for his first 2 wrestling events. He got slapped a few hands, and for me, the memories with that were just his face when Cena's music hit.
Dude, I think the whole place. We knew he was in London because he's been filming. So I know we spoke about it recently. He's been in London for like the last 2 weeks filming a movie.
I'm glad you knew. I was floored when that music hit. I did not see that coming at all.
The woman, like 2 seats down from me, was in tears. She was crying. She was like, that music hit. It got a bigger pop than when Drew McIntyre's music hit. I mean, yeah, the Cena thing. The only thing it did make me laugh. I mean, he's done that WrestleMania promo a few times now. I was listening to our good friends Wrestling Uncensored on the way home last night, and they were like, that's a good talking point. I mean, Adam, let's ask you first, and Parker, be interested to get your view stateside. Do you think that England, London, will host a WrestleMania? There's talk of WrestleMania 42 not being booked anywhere right now. There's talk of it maybe being at Wembley Stadium.
I don't think you let John go out there in his jorts and say any of that unless something is in the works. Mm-hmm. And by in the works, I mean at least like minimum like preliminary discussions, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like unless it was a possibility, I don't think you let John go out there in his neon green shirt and say the things that he said. It was a little bit drawn out, but like at the same time, like it was one of those things where like I had to think about it outside of my own perspective and just how big of a moment that was like for the UK crowd in general, just to see the possibility of that. Do I think it's a little bit reactionary to Wembley, the entire AEW situation? Sure, but I'm not going to be upset that, you know, it took that happening to get this, you know, Mania to possibly be in the UK, you know? I mean, I don't think that's going to be a bad thing whatsoever. And I don't know about you, but I definitely think something is in the works. I think Cena probably knows something that we don't.
And we spoke about this for quite a few years, mate. And all the years I've known you, this has probably cropped up in wrestling conversations at least a couple of times a year. Do you think we're now one step closer to getting WrestleMania in England? I mean, me and Parker talk about this all the time with the NFL. Are we getting a London franchise, etc., etc.? These are talks that have been going on for years and years and years. But WrestleMania, I've said it's been my dream. Adam, you've been very fortunate to go to a few manias. It's been my dream to go to WrestleMania. To see it in my own country would be absolutely incredible. Do you think, though, Ads, that was just a pop for the London crowd? Or like Parker says, does John Cena know something that we don't?
What would be the point in bringing him back just to come out and say that if there wasn't something going on? The only thing I would say is they did play it down a bit in the press conference after, and Triple H they did make a great point in saying that host cities have to bid. So whether that was just trying to get some reaction so that London bids for a WrestleMania, because the way
that's a good point.
London won't bid for it because they have enough tourists every year anyway. That's why Cardiff got Clash at the Castle. London wasn't interested. They just wouldn't bid for it. So there is that element to it. But I agree with Parker. Why would we have Cena on a show for the first time in since Mania in the US and for years over here without there being an element of. And
the counter argument to that, though, Adam, is that this could be a Dwayne Johnson situation of he just went out there and took some creative liberties with it. I mean, Dwayne literally called CM Punk live on TV. Now, it was why they went off air. The cameras were rolling. But do you think he asked for Vince McMahon's permission for that? No. Nope. And ultimately, if you think about it, it was kind of weird and almost meta to see John kind of talk about the decision makers with a live mic. And you could make the argument, Adam and Andy, I don't know what y'all think about this, that this was supposed to be a Grayson Waller effect segment. Like, this was supposed to be Grayson Waller getting the rub from John. And it may have just turned in to something that Cena had a vision for because he now knows that he is untouchable due to his Hollywood fame. Which side do you guys think of the coin that is? Like, I'm leaning more towards the latter than I am the former now that I think about it.
I think they wanted to test the waters to see. I mean, we've kind of all know. I mean, the thing is, and again, I go back to my friends that I was listening to on the way home. They hosted a YouTube show, which I had on my headphones on the way home. And they were saying the last time John Cena was in the UK doing, I think it was a Raw or a SmackDown, whatever it was, he cut exactly the same promo. Exactly the same. So he's done this promo about 2 or 3 times when he's been in the UK. So whether that was very much, look, the world is watching, let's get a reaction. They probably were testing the waters more last night than they ever have before because, they've now given us Clash of the Castle, Money in the Bank. They're back in October for Raw and the usual like housey kind of shows. But realistically, the next big event I think we'll be SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was announcing. I thought he was announcing that because there was a strong thing that we were going to get SummerSlam 2024. And I thought, as he was talking along, I thought, well, here we go. He's going to.
You got to go big 4 before you just jump straight to WrestleMania.
Yeah, we've had SummerSlam 92.
Get SummerSlams in before you just go straight to WrestleMania.
We had SummerSlam 92. We've had Money in the Bank. We've had Clash at the Castle. We've had all like the UK shows, like Capital Punishment, etc., etc. But Insurrection and all them shows that we attended. I think we're probably closer now than we ever have been.
Oh yeah,
but we're probably further away if we ever have been. If that kind of makes sense.
Good point.
I'm not sure where we are. Don't get me wrong. I'd probably have to sell a kidney, a house. I might have to sell one of the kids or something. I don't know how I'd be attending this because it would be SmackDown, it'd be Raw, it'd be 2 nights of Mania, it'd be Hall of Fame, it'd be NXT. It would be absolutely everything. But I promise you, if I have to sleep in a cardboard box for a couple of months, I'll sleep in a cardboard box for a couple.
One of the guys in the arena, did you see the video clip that went viral? Said he sold his car. Or he's going to sell his car for WrestleMania.
It's a song. Yeah. So it's a song.
It was funny. But let's get into Money in the Bank, lads. Adam, Parker, what did we like? What did we not like? Obviously, it opened Adam with the men's Money in the Bank match. Solid enough match, I thought. It's a good way to open a show. It's fast paced. One thing I always find very hard when I'm watching it live, where you're so used to this is, and Parker, I atone to this from when I go and watch the NFL. I'm so used to having the commentary, and that giving me the experience when you're there live and you're just you're just it's just your eyes and you're not hearing anything. You know what I mean? I still grapple getting my head around that again now because I'm there watching it live. But I'm watching Michael Cole. I'm just watching him and all his arm movements, and he was standing up and he was pacing, was incredible. But what did you boys make of the opening match? And did the right person win?
I'll go. Yeah, well, logically, yes. And I'll tell you why I think that. Obviously, if LA Knight was to win, I know they said you can go for any title, but he's a SmackDown guy. So if LA Knight wins a title, technically, regardless, you can move to Raw and they can make that excuse. But he goes for Roman. Is he really going to differ? Is he going to be the one that ends that reign? No, he's not. No. So if you're not him, you don't want Mr. Prime, because that would just be a whole all that would have been for his views, likes, and mainstream stuff that Logan Paul could give you. The next one down on the list was Priest. So it made logical sense. I think WWE have a problem with guys that get over organically, that don't have to have the big production or the throwing all the money at. Guys like we in Parker were talking on Collision, we're saying people like Matt Cardona and people like that who have left Drew Galloway, well, McIntyre. We'll touch on him, so we mentioned him on the Collision review. That he didn't need the whole chosen one gimmick. He was, he got over by himself. I don't think they like that, because they love to throw the money and the production and all that sort of stuff. So I think there may be, I know Triple H said at the end of it, the best things come to those who wait, but LA Knight's no spring chicken. He's older than me and you. So he's definitely not spring chicken. So
that's old.
Yeah. So, when they say about a menstrual clock and you haven't got long, well, he does. Yeah, exactly. Logically reason, yes, Priest was the right choice. Should it have been LA Knight, in my opinion? He had the right momentum going into it, but again, he would not have beat Roman. So,
Parker, does the only thing worry you? I spoke to a few people about this just online late last night when I got in. I couldn't really sleep. My adrenaline was still pumping. With Priest winning, and they've kind of teased it, which we'll get to later with Finn Balor. Is the Judgment Day going to slowly change now? Because it's clearly, are they going to make Priest into a kind of heel, or in kind of a baby face, than a heel? Because they kind of teased it with Finn Balor there when he'd done the attempted cash in, maybe later with that, when Finn was up on the rope. And where do you see them now going with Damian Priest winning the Money in the Bank? Is that going to affect what he's doing with the Judgment Day? And they've got a vision now for Priest. And he's obviously Seth Rollins and stuff like that, but are they going to change? Are they going to tweak the Judgment Day somehow now?
Let me talk to you. So, look, Money in the Bank, you have your triple main event. That's how they bill it. I looked at this event a lot like I looked at Backlash, right? A PLE, Hunter has put together probably the best string of premium live events, pay-per-views we've probably seen in the WWE consecutively in the last decade, I'd argue, maybe last 20 years. The production is there. The environment's there. They're going international. They know how to draw the best out of these crowds. Well, this crowd wanted LA Knight to win this briefcase. Plain, cut, simple. And I don't know about you guys, but I got shades of Stone Cold when that man was walking down the ramp. I mean, really, it felt like I was looking at Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Dwayne, all the Attitude Era guys kind of infused into one, which some people see that as a knock, but really, that's what gets you over in WWE. And he found his groove. Who said he's going to have, or who says he's going to have that groove when they are ready to give him the world title? Really, who's to say he will still be getting those reactions? And that's not to downplay his talent, but WWE has shown with Sami Zayn, with Cody Rhodes, with all these guys that they refuse to strike while the iron is hot. And, if it's, we don't want it all to come at a cost of the Bloodline storyline, Roman's not going to win, or they're not going to pin Roman Reigns. Okay, put these guys on Raw and let everything work out. It seems like in regards to pecking order, our winner of Money in the Bank is the guy who's at the top of it right now, Damian Priest. Obviously, I think both of you guys agree. He's well-deserving, had a great match with Bad Bunny. He's an awesome worker. I'm a big Damian Priest guy. Punchman Martinez, huge proponent. I think he's a big, good worker, great heel. As far as the Judgment Day is concerned, I think that everybody in WWE, as far as higher ups, is extremely high on all these guys. I mean, there were words of Dom taking on Seth at SummerSlam. There's word of, keeping these guys together and girls as long as humanly possible. They haven't even introduced JD McDonough yet. That was a story beat that I was expecting last night. It really was. As far as the finish is concerned, I kind of want to know how you guys felt about the match with Rollins and Balor when we get to it. I thought Priest winning was the right decision, but at the same time, it is unfortunate to see guys like Zayn, like Knight, like Cody just kind of not get their moment back to back to back to back. You hope that, you know, Vince doesn't get in the way of that at some point. But I think Priest was the right winner. But, you know, you hate to see guys like LA Knight not, you know, get that opportunity when, you know, they are just so organically over with the crowd. But I think Judgment Day is fine. I think a lot like the Bloodline, we're not even near the end of it yet. I think they're just, you know, I kind of thought about it like when Priest went to Balor or walked up like he was going to cash on Balor in their match. It almost felt like something that was in a video package. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is
they're going to show that, down the road.
Chapter 3 of the 10-chapter story. Like, I can see this in, like, a main event video package. And that, I think, was literally the only reason that this happened. So that's kind of where I stand with the whole thing. But, hey, also, before we kind of talk a bit more about Money in the Bank, just want to say a huge L for wrestling journalism for this event. We were told Randy Orton was going to be there. We were told Brock Lesnar was going to be there. Yep. We were told Dominik Mysterio was going to main event. I mean, man, huge L for wrestling journalism as of late. But yeah, I thought Money in the Bank was fun. I thought they picked the right guy, but I thought the match was fun. What did you guys think of the match? Like, kind of what happened throughout?
Yeah, just a side point. They did make a habit of hyping up the fact that he doesn't have to go after the world champion as well.
Mm-hmm.
There could be another thing and another element to that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened with Theory.
Exactly. So they may not necessarily. I mean, I still think he'll go for Seth, but they were hyping up enough. The match of it was. I don't know. The match was okay. I don't know. I didn't get me into the groove. I think the only bit that got me was the botched Spanish fly by Ricochet. Didn't really care because it happened to Logan Paul. I couldn't give a shit bounce to him. But like, you know,
he head first into that table,
and he also got his Ricochet's knee. And when he was walking back, we were obviously situated near the aisleway, and obviously Junior Buckle had his hand out for him. He tagged the hand, but he was looking very woozy. I know he's got on his shoulder.
What I really liked about this ensemble of guys, real quick before we go to Andy, is I really loved how it was a bunch of guys who've never been world champions. So realistically, all of these guys had something to gain from this. You know, you have Damian Priest, you have what's his name, Santos, you have Butch, you have Ricochet, you have Logan Paul. You know, there's a lot of talk of Logan Paul, but I you know, honestly, I don't like to be the kind of guy nowadays that preys on people's downfall. But I thought this match in general kind of exposed Logan Paul. Like, we've seen him, you know, kind of had the most played out, rehearsed matches since he's been in WWE, and he's been put over constantly. Like, oh, he's so good, he's great, he's a natural. But when you're in the ring with the big boys and you need to perform, and it's not all, you know, rehearsed in a warehouse the entire week prior, and you got to do stuff on the fly, he showed us he's still got a very long way to go.
Yeah, no, I thought the match was okay. It wasn't great. I've seen worse. I've seen better. It was all right. I think they've missed something with LA Knight, but I've got I think Park, you mentioned earlier that they're teasing Seth and Dominik at SummerSlam. I think Dominik takes the title off him at some stage and Priest cashes in on him for pure heat alone.
Oh,
crazy ass heat. Could you imagine the hatred that would be on him? I've got a funny feeling that's something WWE would do. It'd be very much Jinder Mahal kind of esque when we didn't expect him to win the title. JBL when he originally won the title. I've got a funny feeling that the hatred that Dominik Mysterio is getting come a SummerSlam or soon-ish, they're going to put that strap on him, and then that will lead to Damian Priest with his briefcase, but obviously having to cash in eventually on his own faction. Crazy idea, left field, but when it happens, we can clip this and I can say, I told you so. But as far as Logan was concerned, he done okay in that match. I mean, you could tell they wanted him to hit his high spots. Both of them he botched. It's not his fault. He's not a professional wrestler.
Oh, he's getting put over by the media.
He's getting put over by the media like he's like he's the Rock or something. But that's because who he is, and that, you know, it just proves how Twitter followers can get you onto a main event on a pay-per-view. So he did okay. The event, you know, the match was good. It was a solid start. The crowd were behind it, and yeah, I'm glad Priest won. I'm just going to be very skeptical and interested to see where they go with it. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we'll move on to one of the biggest surprises of the night, because I didn't see this coming. Baszler turning on Rousey.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I have to admit, from where I was, again, we're sitting at different ends. You were above, I were below. So I don't know.
Perfect view of that.
You had perfect view. I mean, from a crowd perspective, the reaction for this was kind of, Maybe it was too high off the men's man of the match. Maybe they just didn't care. I don't know. The only time they really cared was when Ronda Rousey got in the ring. That was the only time. But my section cared was when Ronda Rousey got in the ring. I never saw. This is the great thing, and you mentioned it, Parker. A big L for all these wrestling journalists out there because they were all over Shayna and Ronda, and they were like, what's come to her clean is that Ronda's got a hard out in her contract, basically meaning she can know when she sets a date and that's it. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to get a feud with Baszler in before.
I reckon it'd be at SummerSlam and then adios amigos.
Exactly that.
I'm fine with that. Bye, Ronda.
Yeah, she was good when she first come in, when she debuted at the Rumble, when she come out, and it was all like she hadn't long left the UFC, and it was like I don't think WWE has been as good for her as she thought it would be. She hasn't helped with some of her stupid ass comments that she's made about the business and about the industry and about her fellow people, like colleagues and women that she works with. She hasn't helped herself. I think she kind of thought that she was going to be the big dog, and it's like, no, you're never going to be.
She actually has buried it just as much as Logan has buried it. I mean, realistically, I feel about the same way about Ronda that I feel about Logan Paul. I mean, you come in as Ronda Rousey and your debut match is at WrestleMania in a tag match with Triple H and Kurt Angle and all of them. I mean, could you really ask for a better position? Becky Lynch has gone on record saying all this, why nobody likes Ronda Rousey. Ronda's got everything handed to her on a silver platter, and, everything's been extremely overbooked for her. And it's still not good enough, and she still goes out and buries the business. I mean, you listen to Impulsive, and he's sitting there going on whole rants about how, he doesn't really watch wrestling, and then he's going out there and burying LA Knight on the mic saying, kayfabe or not, oh, you've been a manager for the last 20 years. Bro, I guarantee you Logan Paul doesn't even know who Eli Drake is. Like, he literally doesn't know who he is. Like, I'm sorry, but for me, when it comes to respect, you kind of sort of have to somewhat be a student of the game. And when you're a spoiled brat, like your Rondas, like your Logans, and you inevitably fail and you become a locker room issue, like, I don't know about you guys, but when I see Ronda on TV, I see someone who is completely isolated away from the locker room. I see someone who is detached from she's pretty much on her own island. And if this is her swan song, if this is her exodus, I hope Shayna Baszler beats her ass out the door, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm with you, mate. I mean, I think it'll be a good match if they have it at SummerSlam, but I don't really care much for Ronda.
Me neither.
Something that it slightly concerned me because I didn't really get the point of it was what did you guys make of the Cody Rhodes match? A lot of people made a point online that match was literally there for Cody Rhodes' entrance. I recorded that, and it was one of the biggest whoas that I've ever heard. But the match itself, I thought it was shit.
You know what it reminded me of? 1980s Dusty Rhodes match.
Yeah,
antagonistic heel with the manager always trying to get involved. It felt like an old school WCW, WWF classic kind of
like Saturday morning superstars. Yeah. I didn't think much of the match really. It didn't really. Cody's kind of in no man's land right now because he was here with the storyline that he was doing, and now he's kind of like plateaued, shall we say? And I don't really know where they're going. We kind of know where they're going. They want to get him back somehow to WrestleMania and Roman Reigns next year, but that's a long way to go of him having. Don't get me wrong, his matches are all good, but this for me. And even where I was sitting, my section, I don't know what it was like. The entrance was good, but during the match, that's probably the flattest I've seen the crowd. For just where I was sitting, and there was people getting up, maybe going to the bathroom and stuff like that. I'm just not quite sure where WWE want to go now with Cody because they didn't really set anything up moving forward. Obviously, and now I'm guessing Monday Night Raw happening tomorrow. I'm guessing they're going to get on some sort of hype for we've got 4 and a bit weeks till SummerSlam. So I'm guessing he's going to get involved in some sort of new, or does, like Parker said, does he go up against Dominik again, or does Dominik go up against Seth?
Lesnar.
Yeah, or is Lesnar going to reappear?
Yeah,
and they're going to have one last hurrah at SummerSlam. But yeah, I'm not for that. That match didn't really do much. It's good to see Cody in the flesh. Don't get me wrong, it didn't piss me off as much as watching Matt Riddle wrestle, but it was okay. It was all right.
I mean, look, I'll put it to you like this. I think it was a wasted opportunity. I thought the match was terrible. I think the entire point of this match being booked was for Dom to get a win. And it was for Lesnar to interfere, set up the match at SummerSlam, and, kind of cash in and give Dominik something. Like, Imagine if everybody walked out of this night, Finn Balor walked out with the title, Priest with the briefcase, Rhea with the women's championship, and Dom could have said he beat Cody Rhodes. Like, that was a successful outing for the Judgment Day in theory. But what did we get? A boring, forgettable throwback match between Cody Rhodes and Dominik Mysterio, who, like, I'm sorry, but just comes across as goofy more often than not. I mean, I got nothing against the guy. I mean, he gets great reactions, right? And I think the whole Dirty Dom shtick, like the, he's done time thing, the ammo belts, I think it's all satirical and pretty funny. But in reality, who did this really help? Nobody. Yeah. It didn't advance any storylines. This was probably one of the biggest letdowns on the card, in my opinion, because he didn't just beat Dom. He beat the shit out of Dom, and it was pretty decisive. I mean, this did nothing for Dom and really nothing for Cody either. And it's funny because we were talking about on our Collision review that we were kind of in no man's land for MJF, no man's land for Roman. Cody is right back where he was in AEW of, they called it Cody Island, of, no sense of direction for the narrative, because you can't have him face Seth, because he comes out in the post scrum and is like, oh, that's not finishing the story. So what do you do with Cody till then? Like, Burroughs, you're big on this. You're big on them setting up stuff at the pay-per-views to kind of follow in. This did nothing. It didn't help anyone. It felt like a walk down the ramp and pandering to the crowd, which is understandable. And I get it because of the setting. I wasn't there. But from like a purely wrestling storyline standpoint, this was probably the most pointless thing on the card. And that's saying something.
Yeah, I think Lesnar's going to be, but he might even be on Raw tomorrow night.
Probably.
I mean, it's going to be, like, we've only got bang on 4 weeks build for pretty much 4 and a bit weeks.
That the third match is going to be a match we haven't seen in WWE in a while. So I'm maybe thinking bull rope match or something.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I want 3 stages of hell personally.
Oh, I'd love. Yeah, don't get me started.
That would be fantastic.
You know what I'm like with Twitter things, Andy?
Oh, shit.
So someone said the other day they were talking about they were bringing back Raw Underground for a.
No, they're not.
No. I can't remember. I think I don't know if
isn't it coming back on NXT?
Yeah, this is the thing. So they had NXT, and they said that they were going to bring back Raw Underground, right? Or basically a version of it for a match between two, I don't know, mid-card talents, something like that. Mm-hmm. Someone on Twitter put, "Why don't you put them in 3 stages of hell?" And I was like, "Are you on crack?" Or like
what?
Yeah, this it was Damian Kemp or something like that. No, put him in the 3 stages of hell. It'd be sensational. I was like, if WWE are going to bring back 3 stages of hell, number one, it won't be on a weekly channel of NXT.
No, it's going to be on one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year.
Wasn't our last 3 stages of hell match in WWE? It was Gargano and Adam Cole at TakeOver.
Yes. Yeah,
which
TakeOver
was
Brooklyn,
incredible.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
yeah. But speaking of people like you saying about decisive victories and getting the shit kicked out of them, that brings us on, Andy, to your good friend, Mr. 420, Matt Riddle. He had a great outing last night, didn't he?
Oh, thank God they just kick the shit out of him, keep kicking the shit out of him, and kick him out of the WWE. Oh my God, the guys next to me, God, they nearly got a slap as well. Bro, fuck off.
Why don't you like Matt Riddle?
Because he's fucking useless.
Why?
He can't talk. He can't wrestle. He looks like he's stoned.
Hey, the second part's not true. The second part.
He's awful. His matches are terrible. His flip-flops flying everywhere into the crowd. Fuck off to the beach with your flip-flops. I can't stand it.
I don't mind Riddle the wrestler. I can't.
No, he doesn't do it for me, man. He doesn't do it for me.
He got his arse handed to him anyway.
Good, yeah. And yeah, obviously that was set up for Drew McIntyre to come out and pretty much say he's here to go for the IC belt at, I'm guessing, SummerSlam. That pop was good. Don't get me wrong. That was that got not as big as John Cena, but it was good to see Drew back because there's been so many rumors about him. Is he going to go AEW? Remember, Adam, I remember you again. You were getting into it. Some people on Twitter. He was never going to go to AEW. Never, ever, ever in a million months of Sundays was that going to happen. I think he was always going to come back to WWE. So give me Gunther versus Drew at SummerSlam. I think that's going to be incredible.
It will be. Just a point of no, he has not agreed any form of contract extension.
Yeah, there's no this could realistically be his last feud in WWE, like still. But the post-media press conference, Triple H did clarify that Drew has laughed off the rumors. As far as, before I even talk about Drew, as far as the match is concerned, Gunther just, I mean, the guy's work rate's insane. I mean, I don't think he's lost a single. He's never been pinned on main roster, I don't think, at any point. And this IC title run is absolutely incredible. But, I thought him and Riddle had a solid, stiff little match. But, I mean, we're really going to go with him slapping his feet as the finish? Like, seriously? Like, that was he tickled his feet. Like, I don't know, man. Like, that was just a weird finish to that match. I think these two, if you'd given them 30 minutes, they could have really got that crowd going. But it felt like they really had to trim down the card so that John Cena could go out there and do whatever the hell he was going to do. And this feels like it was one of the matches that suffered because of it. Because as much as you hate Adam Burrows, excuse me.
Yeah, I hate him.
Yeah,
you hate him.
As much as you hate Matt Riddle, Burrows, he is a sensational worker when he's given the platform to do it. His body of work in NXT was incredible. I mean, this guy can go. He can work. I think the character's goofy. It took me a long time to get over him not wearing shoes. But if him and Gunther had actually had a real match like that wasn't as limited as this one was, I think they kind of missed some potential here. They missed their mark as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Moving on. I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't a fan. Anyway, we've mentioned the John Cena. That was good, and he come out to probably one of the biggest pops I think I've ever seen in my life. The women's Money in the Bank for me, match of the night. I really enjoyed the women's Money in the Bank. What did you guys make of it? And I think the right person won as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll say. First of all, did you guys know Bailey was in Judgment Day? They botched that pretty bad.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Did you guys hear that live?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
I was like, what the hell was that?
Mini Buckle turned around to me and went, what's she talking about? I went, I don't know, man.
The UK loves Bailey too, man. Her telling you guys
her
to
song,
shut up.
man, that was going off during that match.
Her telling you guys to shut up just absolutely geeked me out. But quick, just bullets. I thought Zoe Stark, this was a great showcase for her. She was an absolute beast in this performance, even if she is Trish Stratus's bodyguard, essentially. Io Sky, coming out performance for her. I think we all knew watching back in NXT what she was capable of. Strap the rocket to her back and let it go as far as I'm concerned. Becky, kind of being the anchor of this whole thing, and she played her part very well. Zelina Vega kind of paying homage to Andrade with that code red on the ladder, which was absolutely brutal. As far as like from in-ring standpoint, Burrows, you hit the nail on the head. I think this was match of the night. Hands down. I thought the women went out there and killed it. I loved the ending with the handcuffs and her climbing over Bailey because the reason I like that so much is because, if you're my teammate, wouldn't you be cool with me climbing over you? I mean, if it's for damage control, then it's for damage control. I'll step over if I have to. We're brothers in arms or sisters in arms in this instance. So I feel like it was a really creative way to literally handcuff them to the bottom and almost have Io have to physically climb over them, almost physically and metaphorically, to get the briefcase. And I feel like it was a creative way to not break up damage control as well. And then they said on commentary how Io didn't know Bailey pushed the ladder over. I thought those were all really nice touches, but match of the night for sure. What'd you think, Adam?
Yeah, no, definitely. I love this. You kind of hit the points on the head. The right person won. By the sounds of it, and I've said this before, and it looks like the women's one's going to be the first time it's going to be an unsuccessful cash-in. So maybe Bailey inadvertently cost Io when she decides to cash in. Becky anchored it well. Zoe Stark was definitely the performer of that. I mean, if people hadn't known about her, if you hadn't watched NXT, you didn't know what she was like, she has just put herself right in there and said, I'm a top women's talent in this division. At the moment, she's sidetracked by Trish. That'll probably get sorted at SummerSlam because Becky will probably beat Trish. That will move.
Trish had the best bit of that match. She got to lay down for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
He was literally the guy next to me said, Trish has not moved.
She took a nasty bump to the nose, too.
I think she was in front of the announce desk for a good 10 to 15 minutes. She was just there, just thinking, cha-ching. This is
and it didn't hit me until she was
London.
Walking out, down their Instagram. So I was like, oh, man. She's going to take some bumps during this. She's never even done one of these before. This is a daunting task for a veteran, and she went out there and tried her best doing some of her cute little leg moves and took some nasty bumps. But, I say a good outing for her and a great outing for the women in total. Match of the night. I think we all can agree on that.
Yeah, no, definitely. What was up next? Which, pardon?
Seth.
Seth's
Seth.
Yeah, good old Seth. What did you boys make of this match? It was okay in the arena. I'm in the minority. Everyone around me was going, whoa. I was the only dude.
How long did that go?
Too fucking long.
See, that's something we can both agree on both sides of the world. I felt the same way.
You haven't heard nothing now. We also sing the Usos theme song. We sang John Cena's theme song. We done the Cody.
The Usos theme song that was great. Everyone was going nuts for that, which we'll get to. But yeah, the Steph one went on way too long for me. But everyone loved it.
I didn't like it. I just thought it was, I don't know. The priest bit made it interesting. But like, I was sitting there going like, geez, I was expecting, I don't know. I was kind of expecting Demon Finn as well, because they were talking about 7 years ago. And he, Demon Finn was 7 years ago when he won.
That shit's dead. Yeah,
that's gone. And it was just like, okay, so he come out wearing the old gimp mask like he does normally, Finn, with the, the demolition style and thing, which was okay. But yeah, it just, I don't know, too long, too flat.
You say too long, but you and I are, Adam, as we talked about, are big proponents of companies like AEW because they don't limit their workers in the ring. And early on in this match, I was like, okay, these guys are feeling each other out. We're getting some interesting sequences. It looks like they're going to give these guys at least 30 minutes. Two of the best in the world. I mean, we just saw Ospreay and Omega go at it. Absolutely zero constrictions, just go balls to the wall. I thought this was going to be WWE's like reversal of that, of like, oh yeah, well, we've got Prince Devitt and Tyler Black over here who can, burn the damn house down too. Watch this. Hold my beer. We didn't get that. Nope. We got a very, a lot of action early, slow. I felt a lot about this the same way I felt about Riddle and Gunther. Like, these guys did not give us all that they could give us, and it's like they didn't let them do all that they could do. And I was very disappointed by it because I saw this as, they were trying to like give more prestige to Balor. Okay, if you're going to give more prestige to Balor, make him that guy that he was when he won the Universal title initially, then he has to look good in this outing, even if he loses. But what happens? One curb stomp and it's over after distraction from Priest. And you can say storyline implications all you want, but this hurt Balor, and you could argue it could be a nail in the coffin for his career. We'll see how things play out as far as like credibility is concerned, but this was a very disappointing matchup in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, I'm with you guys. I was kind of sitting there watching it live thinking, this is not what I expected. You can see why they didn't get as long because of how long the main event went on for. And that was, I think this, like you said earlier, Parker, a lot of the card did suffer because some of the matches had to make way for the main event. And we will kind of get onto that into a second, but it's going to be interesting to see where they go with Seth and Finn now. I mean, I want Seth to have I don't know. I'm bored of seeing him feud with like the Judgment Day and things like that. But I think that's going to be where we're going now. It's going to be interesting to see who he takes on at SummerSlam. But like
who would you put him in the ring with, Andy?
I was literally about to ask that.
I would put him in with Gunther. I'd get the IC title off him and strap that rocket to him and put that. If Seth has to drop that title, Gunther all day long for me. But if I had to, taking obviously what I said about Dominik earlier, but if I'm thinking again, Gunther wins it and then Priest catches in straight away. Somehow, I mean,
honestly, I was very disappointed that Damian didn't cash in last night.
We thought there was going to be a cash in, yeah. The only way he would have done that if Finn had won and then cashed in on his own on the judgment. We talked about that when we were at the arena before. We said the only way we see that happening if somehow Seth drops the title. And obviously, this is what me and Adam were talking before the show. I said that I thought Priest would win it. And I said the only reason I say that is because then I think Finn will win and he'll cash it in there and then. But, we didn't get it. We're going to get another. It's going to be so interesting seeing what they're going to do and where they're going to go for SummerSlam. Well,
it's funny you say that. So, like, we all love fantasy booking. And kind of how I wanted things to play out in my head was I think Seth's already done enough to where if he drops that title, no love lost. He's still Seth Rollins. He's had plenty of title defenses, more than Roman has in his entire, I think, calendar year. So Seth has defended the title. Seth has already had his mission statement. Seth's already had a good initial run as far as I'm concerned on paper. With that being said, Finn Balor needed to win this match to add any legitimacy to him. And I think having him win puts him over as a main eventer, shows that he's on the level of a guy like Seth Rollins. And then if you don't want the bet on Balor, that's fine. have Priest cash in, right? Have Priest come in, immediately take the sail out of Balor's wings, and he's in another situation where he doesn't even have the title for 24 hours, and it's by the hands of his own Judgment Day member, right? Because we've already seen the divide on TV, so you have them come out the next night, and Balor's like, what the hell? I'm the leader of Judgment Day, and the funny part is Priest has been the leader the whole time. He's the one who kicks Edge out. He's the one who kicks Balor out, and they end up replacing Balor with JD McDonough, and it's like now you have Finn Balor in a situation where he's a babyface, where he got screwed out of the title by his own stable. You got good TV. You could send Seth to do off whatever, but this was a missed opportunity with a red-hot crowd. You really could have got a big moment here, and it would have helped take Balor, take one step forward, but maybe 2 steps back. But Balor needed to come out of this looking strong in some department, but it made him look like a chump, and I think they missed an opportunity with the cash in. Just going to be honest.
I think a lot of people felt that in the arena. The main event. Oh. Wow. Jeez. I mean, Adam, I know you had to leave early to get a train. He texted me halfway through. He's like, let me know one. I had to leave. I was like, shit, this was like, I think the main event didn't finish till like nearly midnight. It was like 11:45, something like that.
Adam was in bed by the time.
We had some of them as well. Yeah. I mean, Parker, how did the main event come across on TV? Because in the arena, it seemed more that it was a match for Solo Sikoa to prove how much he is eventually going to turn on Roman Reigns than it was about the match itself.
So both of you or one of you at SmackDown?
Both.
I went to SmackDown. I didn't make it. I watched it on TV.
So there was a moment on SmackDown that was one of the biggest story beats of the entire Bloodline storyline. I want to say it was either SmackDown or it was during this match, but basically, Solo was absolutely dogging the Usos, and Roman was just kind of sitting there, like, losing his shit collectively, like crying, getting worked up, getting upset. And it's almost like Solo had to go over to him and, like, be like, hey, get up. Like, we're not done here. I think it was actually during the main event, I think
it was last night, yeah, when he was
I don't know why I thought it was a SmackDown.
He was sitting down, really, with his hands in his
and
face.
And Solo's like, what are you doing, man? Get up. This match isn't over. And small things like that, and also small things like, you guys didn't catch this. This was on the broadcast. When Heyman and Roman were talking, Heyman looks over at Roman and says, this guy, pointing at Jimmy, or the Usos, them in total, want your children to sit at their table. That's what they're doing. And I thought that was an interesting story beat, because up to this point, we thought they were demonizing Paul, but Roman was the real problem. But in that little moment right there, you're seeing that maybe the storyline they are going with ultimately is that Paul is the catalyst for this entire family feud, civil war, whatever have you. I thought that was interesting. As far as the match itself, I think that they did something that they didn't let all the other matches on this card do, and they let the match breathe. They let the crowd get into it. They let this, it's funny, people make this joke a lot now. They call it, this is cinema. They let this movie play out. It had an act 1, an act 2, and an act 3. And I thought in all 3 acts, they kept me glued to the screen. I thought at the beginning it was interesting how they had Solo and Jimmy just kind of stare each other down, like almost like they didn't want to fight each other, And then kind of throughout, I thought
they let the crowd get into it there, though, didn't they? Because
everyone
was chanting for Solo, and you could see Roman turning around going, I hate England. England people suck. Get me out of here. I rewatched it this morning, but Solo was so over with that crowd there, like the chants that were going up for him. And I think, again, we say with John Cena testing the waters with WrestleMania, the last month or so, I think we've tested the waters with, can Solo Sikoa be the guy? And I think we're slowly creeping to him being the guy.
Well, the thing is, I think ultimately, if you got Vince McMahon in your ear, he wants Super Reigns back at some point. And with that being said, the real question is, how are you going to leave the bloodline? And you hope it's better than you found it. You see either possibly Jay or Solo as the quote-unquote tribal chief, the head of the table. I don't think there's going to be a tribal chief. I don't think there's going to be a head of the table. I think they're just going to be the bloodline. And I think down the line, Solo and the Usos are going to be probably a really good stable in WWE, even without Roman Reigns. And I think we saw, them allude to that tonight. They're going to be just fine. I mean, I thought Jay was a great babyface, paying homage to Rikishi, The Rock. I thought the spots, the callbacks were great. Jimmy getting put in the guillotine, callback to that previous story beat in the bloodline. The spike, the spear combination was awesome. I thought the stacking them and then they kicked out. And the finish. Oh my, look, man, I didn't mark out this whole show But I did mark out for that finish. I'm not going to front.
First time he got pinned in 3 years.
Well, it wasn't even the fact that he got pinned. It was like the realization that he was going to get pinned. Like, when Jay
that whole arena knew as
and,
well. That whole arena knew. We were all like, because everyone was just like, it's going to happen. It's going to fucking happen.
I'm literally
and
getting goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah, when it
happened,
was that
big of a moment.
That was one of the biggest cheers I've heard.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And it was worth marking out over because Roman had, of course, beaten Jay a long time ago the same exact way by low blowing him with putting his shoulder up. And when I realized that callback and I realized it wasn't a title match, I was like, holy shit, he's about to pin Roman Reigns. And I don't know about you guys, it was surreal to see that. I want to get your thoughts on that.
I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, just for him to finally get pinned for, you say, 3 years, the whole match, you kind of alluded to. There was an Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Yeah, I mean, I watched it this morning. Obviously, I wasn't there. I watched it this morning.
Translates great on TV too.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to watching it back on TV. The whole
match. It's just another element to the best storyline that they've written for so long. So
I'd say ever.
Getting there. My thing with
Solo Burroughs is acknowledged. If any of our HTTP listeners are listening, Burroughs is acknowledging our tribal chief via his attire.
Yeah, I was going to wear the
driving my wife mad recently. Every time
I couldn't find mine.
I just keep walking around the house going, "Acknowledge me." She's like, "Fuck off."
Where does it lead?
Jay versus Roman at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
gotta
probably. And then I don't know. I can see Heyman aligning with Solo at some. I don't know. But
Solo versus Jimmy, Jay versus Roman at SummerSlam.
Probably, and I think that the other thing to remember is Heyman used to manage the Usos' dad, the Samoan SWAT team in WCW back in the 80s. So there is that tie-in to that side as well. So I don't know.
I think it's gotta be Jay and Roman with Solo ringside, Jimmy ringside, Paul ringside, and that's where we're going to get our next big story beat from the Bloodline stuff. I think that's inevitably when Solo turns. My big thing is I do want to see Roman legitimately go on his own for some time before he does inevitably face Cody, so that we can actually see what it's like for him to, of course, still be able to hold on to the title, but it'd be a lot harder for him. Kind of like when Rollins kind of strayed away from the Authority back in 2015, kind of reminiscent of that. But, I don't think he should go straight to Cody. I think they should take their time with this Bloodline stuff. I'd wrap it up at SummerSlam, and I would have him go on a little bit of a singles run and just kind of, show that the wheels are falling off and kind of show that Cody's prophecy of him losing everything and Sammy's prophecy of him losing everything are fulfilled. But I think it's got to be Jay. I don't see any other direction for the character. I really don't.
Do you still think there's a push to get The Rock in to give him that big win?
Survivor Series.
Yeah, not obviously not SummerSlam, but you mentioned that Park Survivor Series or the Rumble to give him that big.
Could be the Rumble.
Because if he's going to go for Cody at 40 and Cody does eventually get that win, he's to give the momentum for Roman to go into that as the tribal chief. Because maybe what you're saying is he's going to start losing everything. He's going to start thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? He gets the big win over the great one for the head of the table. That gives him, just brings him back from this nightmare.
What a character arc if that does happen. Like,
that would be lose.
I agree with
the great one. The great one
ever
tattooed here. I love Roman Reigns. That would be lose for me. I mean, I hope this Bloodline. I hope they can eke at least it out till Mania. I think it's good. It's been the best wrestling storyline ever for me. But boys, just wrapping up here. If you had to give Park, it'd be interesting to get your view because we were in the arena. If you have to give Money Bank a grading, what would you give it out of 10, my friend?
I give it a solid 7, and I say that because as far as like in ring wise, I thought overall the card was a little bit lacking. I thought the main event, of course, was incredible. I thought that a couple other matches just didn't quite live up to par, but ultimately, just the environment, the atmosphere, the minimalistic set, the crowd getting into it. I just think the atmosphere at these premium live events is incredible, and I go into it with zero expectation, and I always end up having fun, but realistically, if you really think about this from a grand spectrum, I saw some, I'll say WWE haters, I'm just being honest, saying that this was an event that really didn't progress a lot of storylines. And that argument is valid. And that's why I don't grade it as high as I would some other events that I have watched this year. I enjoyed Backlash a little bit more. Obviously, I wasn't there. It doesn't detract from the experience. Like, For example, like when I was at Battleground 2016, the Shield triple threat wasn't the best triple threat I've ever seen, but I'll tell you that was one of the best damn events WWE has ever held because I was there and I had fun, damn it. You know? So I'm definitely not trying to detract from you guys' experience. I was really happy for you guys. I just think that there was a couple of decisions that they made on the card that were safe and a little bit less than what I expected. And that's just me objectively looking at it. But I just don't think 7 out of 10 is a bad rating. It's still a pay-per-view I very much enjoyed. And knowing you guys were there having a blast made it all that much better.
Yeah, Adam, what grade would you give it? Like you say, we've been to many. God, I lost count how many WWE events I've been to now when it comes to UK. Me and you have attended them together. We've attended them separately. Where did Money in the Bank rank for you, buddy?
6. I don't know. I just expected a bit more. I don't know. That may just be me just because I'm an old guy that's used to, you know. And first pay-per-view they brought over here, obviously Clash of the Castles in Wales. And for those of you that don't know, Wales is a different country. Kick them to the side.
Yeah, we don't like the Wales.
They really got anything good going for them. So anyway, I just expected more. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with Parker. I'd say 7.
I tell you what made it. I suppose what disappointed me the most was because of the shit that you heard online.
The rumors going around about Orton and Lesnar,
Charlotte being added,
in the Money in the Bank. Yeah, I mean that's the only problem nowadays that you get, especially at big events. It'll happen at SummerSlam. It happens every WrestleMania. My God, the Royal Rumble. I think the World and his wife and his 2 sheep are coming to enter the Royal Rumble. I mean,
we're going.
It's in it. Parker,
but ultimately, it's
January
just
Parker,
about having fun. And I have fun with AEW events. I have fun with WWE events, and there's enough there for the wrestling fan of really any product to have fun with it at the end of the day. I thought it was a lot of people.
I mean, I've been online this morning. I'm part of this Facebook group. They've now renamed it WrestleMania London. It was Money in the Bank 2023. I could tell the demographic. A lot of them in there were like, I absolutely loved it. It's the best event I've ever been to because they are a younger demographic. And realistically, apart from Clash of the Castle, we haven't had anything since SummerSlam 92. We've had events and we've had UK only shows. Like you said, we've had Rebellion, we've had all of that. But apart from Clash at the Castle, this was our first big one since 1992. And I was 12 years old the last time we had a premium live event over here. So for me, I'm with Parker. It was a solid 7. I didn't hate it. I wasn't overjoyed with it. I loved the crowd experience. For me, that was awesome being in it. When Cena come out, holy mother of God. I mean, I'm not John Cena's biggest fan, but that pop, that reaction, because, when you see it on the TV, you're like, oh, Cena's turned up. But when you're there, and I was casually just scrolling through my phone, looking at the Hitting the Turnbuckle Twitter, and then all of a sudden I heard Cena's music hit, and the whole arena, everyone just grabbed their phone and was just like, I need to capture this moment and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, for me, it was good. It's going to be interesting to see now where they go with it, with the Bloodline, with Seth, etc., etc. It's going to be interesting to see what they do for the next 4.5 weeks as we build up to SummerSlam. But gents, another good show. Pleasure to sit back and review Money in the Bank. We will be back later in the week. We've got all sorts coming up this week. We've got some great wrestlers coming on. We've got review shows. We've got AEW. We've got Raw. We've got SmackDown. Make sure you go and follow us on all social media.
3 weeks away.
3 weeks away from our own event. If you thought last night was good, wait till you come to Buckle Up. That's going to be a premier live event. The Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast is hosting our own wrestling event. Parker, we will definitely FaceTime you while we were there. Check us out on all socials.
I'm really excited for that.
Check us out on all socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just type in the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, also on YouTube. But this has been another good one. I've been your host, Andy Burrows, with my good friends, Mr. Adam Cousins and the American representative, Mr. Parker Hamlet. Till next time, everybody, buckle down. Stay safe.